Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you're well. Well, there's one subject that I've covered a few times now on this channel, and I think I even mentioned it last night, and that was the one of digital ID, where the Starmer-led Labour government are talking about imposing this system on us. And as I've said repeatedly, if we look at other countries where this has been introduced, and if we look at the way it has been introduced, in that it will make your life easier, let's go. And then they, piece by piece, attach every part of your everyday life to it. You end up in a trap that you could not escape. One of the very important things in my mind, as an individual or as a country or as a whole area, is that right to self-determination, to say, bollocks to you lot, I'm going to do it my way. Well, if you look at the British Isles, you've got the Scottish, you've got the English, you've got the Welsh, you've got the Irish, and there's one region that tends to get banded in with England quite a lot, and, you know, their own identity gets lost in all of that, and that is, of course, the Cornish. And, you know, they are a region all in themselves. And like anyone else, they have the right to self-determination, and they have the right to say no. Well, an article has appeared online where the council in Cornwall has basically spoken about digital ID and done this. And I think it's very important that we discuss that, share that, and, you know, get people talking about the fact that if enough fuss is made, hopefully somebody might listen. So let's see what the Cornish have to say about this. Let's make this bigger. So Cornwall, first in the UK, saying no to mandatory digital ID cards. And that's very important. Very, very important. And you can see there the picture of the council, and you've got the Cornish flag there. Ignore that flag on the left. It's more trouble than it's worth. Cornwall Council has become the first local authority in the country to agree to write to the government saying no to its bid to introduce mandatory digital ID. Now, I think that that is very important. I think as many regions as possible need writing to, as many regions as possible need to write to the government and say, you know, this isn't a bit of me. We're not doing it, you know. And if all of our different countries and regions stick up for our rights, our right to self-determination, then it's got to be something. The leader of the council even jokingly said he was willing to march to London as one of 20,000 Cornishmen on the matter. Conservative councillor Connor Donithorne proposed a motion asking for the council to tell the Labour government it was against the introduction of the proposed digital ID cards. He told a meeting of the full council, it may sound modern, it might sound innovative, and it may sound efficient. It sounds inevitable, but that's exactly why we should be skeptical of it. Convenience must never come at the cost of personal liberty. It makes me laugh when he says, you know, 20,000 Cornish are going to march on Westminster. When we had the Acts of Union in 1706 and 1707, by the way, they tried to make an attempt to cancel it less than a decade later. 5,000 Scots attempted to march on Westminster to point and say, we're not happy. So, you know, that's the area we're going there. But you look what happened with the farmers yesterday, and one of them got nicked. That's the kind of country we're living in right now. Anyway, we continue. He said residents across Cornwall were rightly expressing genuine concern about the move. It's about the individual being in control of their identity, not the state. Green Party councillor Drew Creek, who seconded the motion, added that the mandatory digital ID plan was fundamentally against British values, English values, Cornish values. Before the motion was discussed, Tony Goodman of St Austell asked a public question about the government's proposal. The Prime Minister has said mandatory digital ID is only necessary to control illegal immigration? Can the leader think of any other benefits that Cornish residents will get from this control mechanism? It really isn't clear, despite the huge effort the Labour government has put into imposing it on us. The councillor's Lib Dem leader, Councillor Lee Frost, replied, "The short answer is no. I can't if I'm honest." This was followed by a large round of applause around the chamber. He went on to say, "There could be potential benefits. As a Cornishman, I might be able to identify myself as Cornish on this digital ID." You could do that anyway. Is it worth the millions and millions of pounds they want to spend on it? Of course it's not. The idea that it will control illegal immigration is nonsense. I think we all know that. Referring to the famous March of 1688 to free Bishop John Trelawney, Mr. Goodman responded, "I have Councillor Mustoe alongside me, so I only need another 19,998 Cornishmen to march to London. So will the leader be joining us? I'm always happy to march up to London in the name of Cornwall," said Councillor Frost. Conservative councillor James Mustoe told the meeting his research showed that Cornwall would be the first council to formally voice its disapproval of the measures. A trailblazer, I hope. However, independent councillor Loic Rich said he wasn't sure it would impinge on individual privacy, Wally, stating that people already have smartphones with personal details shared with apps such as Tesco reward cards. Council Chairman, Councillor Rob Nolan, Riley told the meeting that other supermarket loyalty cards were available. Other councillors pointed out that having such cards was a voluntary decision, while the crux of the argument by those against the government bid was that the digital IDs would be mandatory. Leader of the Labour group at the council, Councillor Kate Ewart, said she had mixed feelings. I completely understand why people are concerned about it. The thing I don't particularly like about the digital ID is that it would be mandatory, which feels exclusionary for people who do not have access to the digital world. So there you go. The Cornish are saying no, and that's very important. I think many councils out there need to take an example from the Cornish. I think the other countries across the British Isles need to take an example from the Cornish. And one thing, that councillor said, we all have Tesco's points cards on our phones and all the rest of it. I think that's the point. This goes back to the Fabian rationale again of slowly by stealth. They've got us used to reliance on mobile technology and all these convenient and wonderful apps over the years. Then all of a sudden, when it comes to digital ID, they got you. That's what it's all about. Now, they have to look at other countries, China, United Arab Emirates, Vietnam even, other areas where digital ID has been introduced on the premise that it will make your life easier. And then all of a sudden, you can't even fart without having to show your ID. Remember the identification you do have. And remember that right to self-determination, very important. Let me know your views on this in the comments. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share me with your friends. And as always, I'll talk to you soon. Toodaloo.